Why did the androids attack the city in the start of the Android and Cell saga of Dragon Ball Z? This is something I realized over time that I had never done a video on, though I've briefly covered over the course of my time on YouTube, but nonetheless, it actually is a very important question because, after all, why, out of any action that Dr. Gero could have used with androids that cannot be sensed in the traditional sense, did he decide to instead make a big public spectacle of his power by attacking a city and trying, potentially, to draw his adversary right to him? Or was that actually his intent the entire time? Perhaps that was happenstance. And not just that, but what about the other timelines where this occurred? Well, I'm still gonna discuss that in this video. Of course, when we were told about this incident, it was by Trunks, the son of Prince Vegeta, as he came to the past, which is really an alternate timeline, and using the continuity of Super if you want to, it is an alternate multiverse, in which everything seemingly played out the same way. I actually did a video a while back called The Imperfect Timeline Theory, where I discussed if it truly does have the exact same past, or maybe there are differences the entire way through and every timeline itself is imperfect. Now, either way, this is an event that happened in more than one timeline. This happened where Trunks and Goku met one previous time, as a matter of fact, in the unseen timeline, where the original future Trunks had gone back in time for the very first time and created another timeline, which was basically like this, a duplicate of this timeline right here that we're seeing, which fans tend to call the main timeline. In that point in time, he also had the same conversation here and went on to save Goku with the heart virus. But in this case, we can say that things went a little bit differently and a little bit awry afterward because of Cell's inclusion in this timeline, because he went to 1 year before this Trunks traveled, meaning that Cell was actually the progenitor and creator of the timeline as opposed to Torankusu. But with that being said, you can argue whether or not the butterfly effect might have impacted Dr. Gero's actions. Regardless, Trunks says, and is proven to be correct, that on May 12th, at approximately 10 in the morning, on an island 9 kilometers southwest of South City, a fearsome duo is going to appear. They're monsters, possessing a power unimaginable for those of this world. Artificial humans that Dr. Gero created. And that's exactly what we see in this timeline playing out. I'll show you right now. Because we see that they appear and begin to attack the city, blowing up Yajirobe's car, spaceship hybrid. And then in turn, what do? Well, they start to just kill random people around them. Now, we see right here that 19 does this. And then we see Dr. Gero do it. To quote Quaman, he popped his head off here like a grape. This is a very, let's just say, gruesome, to say the least. Now, interestingly, what happens? When he's doing this, we see that 19 and 20 both pick up a power reading from a particular character. Someone who is far exceeding any known human data and who is extremely powerful by their own metrics. That in this case is Yamcha, who they believed is Goku. Now, interestingly, look at the wording that 19 uses here. We found him already. Or in this case, we have already found him. It is none other than Son Goku. So they're already looking for Goku when they go to attack this city. This implies that the main reason why they go here is that they are trying to lure out Goku. They assume that when they go and attack a city, that somehow Goku will find out about this and thus come to attack them. Of course, they didn't expect that he would already be there at this point in time, because not only did they not know about him knowing about the time travel with Trunks and everything that would occur 3 years later, but they just anticipate he would come after they had tested everything out. And that's leading into what I think is another reason and rationale behind all of this. Dr. Gero, now Android 20, essentially reborn, kind of like Metallo in Superman, or, some of the evil scientists in Kikaider, or just like a lot of different stories before this that Toriyama is probably influenced by. What happened? Well, he probably wanted to do a test drive of his powers as well. I mean, after all, Dr. Gero had just turned himself into a powerful cyborg, a robot with a brain inside of it, his brain, the only part that he believed was probably better than any machine he could create. In some ways, you could probably argue that's the case, because most of his machines, well, they're not the brightest bulbs in the shed. I know I just combined two things right there, but either way, it's something that we can say he probably was ready and raring to go. He had waited for so long to have the power to kill his enemy Goku, the one who destroyed the Red Ribbon Army, the one who embarrassed him, and blah, blah, blah. And so, guess what? He wanted to test it out by destroying the city. And because Dr. Gero is clearly a sociopath, a psycho, mad scientist who has no problem with wiping people out, he just goes to a city full of others, human beings, which he now sees himself above. I mean, he always did as the shadow leader of the Red Ribbon Army, and decides to wipe them out. And a really awesome scene in the anime and manga. It's so just kind of brutal, but also at the same sense, it's something that kind of comes out of nowhere. You don't expect Dr. Gero here to just start firing lasers out of his eyes and just heat visioning everybody in a city to death. It's crazy. He just vaporized them. I always loved how nonchalantly 19 just kind of bends down to get out of the way of the attack as well. It's so just like really well done here by Toriyama in terms of this, but either way, I think that those are the two biggest reasons why Dr. Gero 19 and 20 here ended up doing that. But that's only with 19 and 20. After all, we do have two other androids who did this. When we go back to what Trunks said, of course, initially, he says that 19 and 20 are the two artificial humans who did this, that they are the ones who rebelled against Gero and killed him. Of course, in the story later on, it goes on to be 17 and 18, as we see right here, because of the fact that Toriyama had changed his mind outside of universe after the encouragement of his former editor and the one who discovered him, Torishima. Of course, at this point in time, it was another editor who had taken over after, I believe, the 23rd tournament and started pushing things in even more of a sci-fi direction and more serious direction up until he left and was replaced by another editor in the time of the Cell games, which, funny enough, is when Mr. Satan shows up and things start to get a little bit more comedic again, especially going into the Blue Saga. So with them, you could argue that this was a matter of the butterfly effect. You could argue that this is actually a different Trunks than shows up 3 years later, which I discussed in another video on my channel, which is where did Trunks go during the 3-year time skip? And not just that, but additionally, you also will have the question of, well, what was the rationale of every single variation, every single timeline? So with 17 and 18, why did they rebel and decide to attack that very same day that Dr. Gero as 20 and his android helper 19 also attacked? Well, as we know in this timeline, the main one, and likely the unseen timeline as well, we don't see it, but we would assume, the assumed timeline, what happens? They break in, they kick down the door, and they're ready to fight. This is Vegeta, this is Torankasu, this is Piccolo, Tenshinhan, and Kuririn. And what are they doing? Well, they are ready to try and kill the androids. But this never happened in the original timeline or the Future Trunks timeline, where the one that we see here is from. because they had no idea that the androids existed or that they were coming to fight. And so this means that they got free of their own volition, possibly when Gero woke them up like he did shortly before this in this variation of the story, we see right here. And he assumed, just like right here, that they would obey him because they both were putting on an act, as we see with Android 18 as well. When they see the remote shutdown device, 17 is nodding, which is like, you know, we're going to put on this act, but then we're going to kill him. And that's what happens. So that's probably what occurred in the original timeline. Of course, there is an anime-only scene in which we do see Cell's flashback that shows 1718 killing Gero after he talks about Cell to them and explains to them that Cell would be his ultimate creation in the future, that 1718 need to stay away from him, and ultimately then they cut his head off, and they kill him, and then they go blow up the underground bunker, but Cell just so happens to be awoken at that point in time from the incubation, survives, and goes on to the entire storyline of the Cell saga. But in this version of the story, it's entirely possible that Toriyama had it intended, because the whole time echo idea that I've talked about in other videos in the past, specifically time echoes in Dragon Ball Z, for the events to be repeating in a very similar fashion. For whatever reason, the very same day that Dr. Gero had attacked the city in the main timeline, he possibly could have awoken them, 17 and 18, just like he did in this timeline, in the original, and he decided at that point that perhaps these androids are actually the very same ones, you know, that have been brainwashed, that now they will obey me, and as a result, I will send them to attack the city on May the 12th. However, they were putting on a guise, and the second they got the chance to, right here, you know, gotta do those Bob Ross sound effects. You know, he whips that right out of Dr. Gero's hand and is ready to put an end to him. Because even if the Z Fighters didn't show up, they only had the opportunity right here because he was distracted. But what's to say something else wouldn't distract him too, right? And then they would kill him, enact their revenge, because they already seemed like they were ready to do that even before Dr. Gero told them what the situation was. I mean, just look right here. He wakes up 17. He hasn't told him yet what he's going to do and the reason why he's waking him up, right? And yet, they're both already about to obey. And this is the first time they also see him as a robot. So again, there's a lot that's going into this idea that they were going to break out right now anyway and probably kill him. So I would say that that's a very strong probability that that's what happened. Now, as for the reason why they went to attack the city anyway, well, I think it's a matter of two different major factors. The first one being their programming. You know, they still wanted to, because they were compelled to at some level, kill Goku. Like, that was the ultimate challenge for them. 17 especially likes the challenge. Not only, as they talk about, because he's a man, he likes the fun of like getting to a place slowly with like the car instead of just flying to Goku's house, and a lot of those other things that they bring up in the scenes between 17, 18, and 16. But additionally, because he really wants that fight, which leads into the number two, which is, well, we've been stuck and trapped and pent up for so many years. We had to murder our enslaver and essential creator, Dr. Gero. Obviously, they were humans that he augmented against their will and turned them into robots, killing machines, Jinzo Ningen. But not just that, additionally, they just wanted to unleash their anger upon humanity. I actually talked about this in another video on my channel, which is, why are the future androids so different? I think a lot of it is because the fact that Goku in that original timeline, you know, was dead, that they did not just get broken free in a sense, like what happened in the main timeline, because the fact that they, you know, were found by the Z Fighters and they were set free essentially because of the aid of these individuals. You know, that could be another reason on a deeper subconscious level why they didn't kill all the Z Fighters, because the fact that, well, I mean, they are somebody who kind of helped us to get out of this situation, so we might as well not kill all of them, but, you know, continue keep them alive for fun and for sport. But also, again, if they wake up and the entire purpose that they have is to kill Goku, they just killed their master and they are now free, well, they have no reason to even live for. So why not just start wiping people out in their expectation? That's probably one of the reasons why they became so psychopathic comparative to what we see in the main timeline, where when they get free, they just proceed to keep everybody alive. So I think that that's like a big reason. They still plan to kill Goku, but, you know, the only person they actually kill, unless you can argue maybe they killed the pursuing cops that were coming after them when they stole the car, is Dr. Gero. And so that's why I think that their motivation probably was to attack the city when they did, because again, they had just gotten out. They wanted to probably use their powers as well. They had the programming to, you know, kill Goku. And not just that, but additionally, you know, in that timeline where Goku was already dead, maybe Dr. Gero told them, and he said, I was planning to attack the city this particular day to lure him out, but he's dead now. So, you know, they stole his idea. They used it to kill all the other Z fighters to kind of have like a big battle royale fun time for them. And that's why they did it. So ultimately, I think that Dr. Gero probably just chose the city that he went and attacked because the fact that it was kind of, you know, probably because it was far enough out of the way of like just going to West City or like one of the big cities like the capital that King Piccolo did. And so maybe he had some kind of fear of opposition in that case from like the military, or maybe, you know, maybe he didn't want to make it as big of a spectacle in terms of attacking like the capital of the planet, you know, but at the same time, he chose a city large enough to where he would be able to deal enough damage to the population that would draw out Goku and friends. Like if he just like decided to attack some farmer in the middle of nowhere, a lot less likely than attacking a city and killing, I guess, potentially thousands. Plus, Dr. Gero didn't want to like destroy the planet. He wanted to rule it. So going to a capital city and wiping out millions of people probably wouldn't have been as beneficial to him and whatever really he wanted and his goals compared to what we see there. But all right, guys, this has been a video talking about why did the androids attack on May the 12th, the day I'm releasing this, which automatically dates it. But hey, every year we got Android Day, so you can watch it then and there. Thanks for watching. Stick around, because there might be a lot more to come in the future unless the androids attack.
Yeah, and you better subscribe.